Hello and welcome to the final episode of Undercurrent for this particular series. And as the school holidays draw to a close, yes, I can hear all the parents breathing a sigh of relief. My name is Christy Mullica. Well, first up on tonight's show, here in Western Australia, bushfires have become an all too common thing and have been very terrifying. Well, recently there was a forum held all about those bushfires and Melissa Blom went along. Today's scorching heat has sparked a number of major fires around Perth and surrounding regions.
There is a bushfire emergency in 2J tonight.
This Pinjarra home was destroyed in a matter of minutes, the massive fire showing no mercy.
Western Australia has seen a history of catastrophic bushfires in the last decade, and the growing rate has been concerning. Due to increasing hot summers and cause factors, the bushfire front has suggested that fuel reduction burning is the key to reducing the severity of WA's bushfires. Prescribed burning has caused contention amongst those living in rural areas and political parties alike. However, Roger Underwood says it's imperative in preventing uncontrollable bushfires.
WA has a hot, dry summer climate. Droughts are common. Every year we get conditions that are conducive to fire, including lightning strikes, and our native vegetation is very flammable. So you put those things together with the inevitable source of fire, which is either lightning or some foolish or stupid person, you've got a perfect storm. So we're in a bushfire-prone environment here, whether we like it or not. That's just the environment we live in.
The Bushfire Front was established in 2002 as a lobby group by bushfire specialists who sought to highlight the key issues on the management of bushfires in WA.
A group of us who'd worked together for many years used to meet up socially, and of course we chatted amongst ourselves, and the end result of that chatting was the sort of conclusion that bloody hell, things are in a mess, let's do something about it. And that led to us forming a group and having a constitution, becoming incorporated, and now we're a formal group with publications and a website. In a nutshell, we aim to get bushfire management in WA back on the rails. We think that things are in a mess, they need sorting out. We know what needs to be done, and we need to convince the authorities and government that changes are necessary. So we're a lobby group.
With the hot, dry climate of WA, bushfires are almost impossible to avoid during peak fire season, making firefighting difficult and sometimes fatal. Prescribed burning, however, reduces the fuel needed for the intensity and longevity of a wildfire.
You are always going to need firefighters because there are always going to be fires. But the second thing that is essential is that the fire grounds are prepared in advance to minimise the intensity of the fire. So they're the two key elements: a good firefighting system and a fuel reduction program to make sure that when a fire does start, it's easy to put out.
From 2010 to 2011, approximately 200,000 hectares were burned back on DEC land. Not nearly as enough as suggested by the Bushfire Front, which recommends at least 300,000 hectares. Consequently, during this period, the rate of wildfires began to spike again. It is estimated that from 2002 to 2003, the cost of suppressing bushfires cost around $12.3 million, with a prescribed burn costing a fraction of the price at an estimated $100,000.
They're operating at about a third of what should be done in the southwest forests, and until they double the amount of burning, things are not going to get any better at all.
According to Roger Underwood, within the last decade and a half, the rate and severity of bushfires have spiralled out of control, noting that the worst bushfire WA ever seen happened over 50 years ago.
Well, the worst fires I've ever been involved with were the 1961 fires, in which most of the southwest got burnt and 4 towns were burnt out. But there was also a very severe bushfire issue during the Cyclone Alby crisis in 1978, and there have been recent bad fires, very bad fires down south. The Cyclone Alby fires were managed brilliantly in terms of prevention, and that was a real success story because that crisis came right in the heart of the time when the system I've been describing was operating, so that we had cyclonic winds, we had fires starting everywhere, roads blocked, power lines down, but we did really well. And although we had something like 120 fires in one day, there wasn't one of them that got out of hand because our system was working so well.
The Bushfire Front have conducted a 12-year campaign in order to convince the government that a state policy needs to be implemented in order to provide guidelines to better manage bushfires.
Well, the two key requirements is for WA to develop one overarching bushfire strategy which tells everyone what they should be doing rather than allowing people to do their own thing. The second thing is that we need strong leadership from the top, someone who will integrate across agencies and across land tenures and drive a really a determined campaign to get things back on the rails.
While the Bushfire Front has faced criticism from the Greens for destroying forested areas, it is currently supported by the state government that fuel reduction burning continues.
Because if you light a fire, that fire is going to burn. Tree trunks, roots will continue to smoulder for days, if not weeks on. So there's always a risk, and I think anyone who is involved in fires, anyone who lives in a fire-prone area knows there is a risk of prescribed burning, but if we don't do that, then you have the danger of an absolutely catastrophic fire, perhaps like a dwelling up in the early 1960s.
The Bushfire Front is gaining support from the state government and rural residents as they aim to educate people on the necessary management strategies of bushfires. However, when asked, most agreed that the current prevention strategies are not adequate.
We're now suffering the consequences. We've been listening to the wrong people, so as a consequence, all the history has been lost. All the lessons of history have just disappeared. So until we go back and have a look and see where we've come from, we will not know where in the hell we're going. Apart from the fact that we know we're in dire straits as far as fire is concerned. We had them last year, we're going to have them next year.
It's nothing to do with climate change. We have, well, as the Speaker said tonight, that this is quite normal in WA to have hot summers and strong winds and fires starting up. And it'll always happen. But we have to do something to try and mitigate that problem.
Roger, I think, summed it up. There just has to be better protective burning, has to be a complete change of mindset. People have got to realise you can't have trees next to houses and places like that. We've just got to think better about fire control.
Oh, I hope that people will see that there's a problem and they will understand that it can be fixed. And we would like to be part of the solution when it comes.
With the ongoing support from local members and the state government, the Bushfire Front hope to continue to encourage the motion for improved guidelines to better manage bushfires in WA.
I'm Melissa Blom reporting for Undercurrent.
Well, in recent years there have been some fairly traumatic incidents happening around the world, but is Australia giving enough global aid? Well, that's exactly what we took to the streets of Perth to ask you this week.
Despite being one of the wealthier nations, Australia's foreign aid ranking has recently dropped. Today we ask you your opinion on it.
I guess it depends really. I mean,
Depends on the situation and how bad it is.
Yes, I believe they should be looking more at their home soil. All the homeless issues and all these social issues we've got in our own countries should be dealt with before we worry about donating money to other countries.
no, actually I don't. I think we could actually be giving a lot more. We're quite a wealthy country and I don't think we give enough.
We spent less on foreign aid than we did on obtaining the rights to a Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and that seems wrong at best.
We're a top 20 earning country and we are literally stingy mofos.
In an attempt to repair Australia's budget problems, the government has cut foreign aid by $1 billion. This will reduce Australia's official aid contribution, making it less generous in comparison to other progressive nations such as the UK and Japan.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
I don't think he should have cut it, and if he was going to, it shouldn't have been that much. It should have been
And not as probably quickly as well. He could have eased it out so people wouldn't be in such struggle. I didn't know that. Personally, I don't really like him that much. Yeah, I don't approve of that at all, really.
Oh, it's wrong. We might as well stop caring about our fellow person on the street, you know?
No, I think we need to spend more money in our own country first. looking at the issues we got here and dealing with those issues first.
They talk about we're a global community now. Well, why don't we start acting like one?
Do you know Abbott's slashing $1 billion from the fund?
Yeah, he's always slashing shit.
He's slashing something. He's a slasher.
But he's managed to find $4 million to tell asylum seekers not to come here. What a joke.
Yeah. I think that digit speaks for itself. $1 billion.
It's wrong. I mean, first of all, where is that $1 billion going? We need to allocate more, like I said, to those countries in need, especially if we are one of the wealthiest countries in the world.
It's pretty embarrassing.
Where's all our money going? What are we spending it on?
No, because it was already there. There's no way you should take it away, because it shouldn't have an impact on our budget or anything, because the money was already there anyway. So I've got no problem with that. But if they start spending more and less in their own country, then I'd have a problem, yeah.
If the US apparently is giving the most to foreign countries and we are sitting somewhere on maybe number 10 on the scale, if we cut the budget, we're going to move lower down on that scale, and I think it's a bit embarrassing, really. I mean, Australia, we have more opportunities, more resources. We should be giving more attention or focus to helping those countries that are in need of these basic human rights. I mean, the government needs to do their job. They have to protect Australia's interests, but at the same time, they should be doing their part. We should be doing our part to help those foreign countries in need.
The huge government cuts to foreign aid may damage Australia's international reputation. I'm Azian Arzalan reporting for Undercurrent.
Well, as we go to a quick commercial break here on Undercurrent, don't forget Eat Drink Perth is still happening, so come on in and celebrate. More Undercurrent after the break.